Hello everybody, welcome to Psych Academy. This is AJ sir, and today we have a special practice session with PYQs from Research Aptitude. Our target is GRF 2026. So let's start with the PYQs of Research Aptitude. The instructions are very basic. Try answering by yourself before explanations. Of course, this is how we stay in practice. 20 seconds will be provided for each question, which is enough for most of the questions that we will be doing here. A few questions that is a bit longer in nature, you will get 30 to 40 seconds for those. Keep a note of all the incorrect answers. This is what we are here for, to ensure that all our mistakes are taken account of. Even for the correct answers, do listen to the explanations. It will help you understand the topic much better and also provide clues for other questions. Repeat later and evaluate progress. So do the same test, come back here, watch the video and check how much better your preparation has been. So let's start with the first question. One thing to mention is that the 20 seconds time that will be provided will start from the moment the question is shown. Even if I am going on repeating it, the 20 seconds does not start after my repetition. It starts with the moment the question is shown. So which of the following is not a type of longitudinal research? A, cross-sectional study; B, trend study; C, prospective study; D, cohort study. The correct answer out here is a prospective study. A cross-sectional study. Prospective study has to be longitudinal. It's a cross-sectional study, because a trend study basically shows that how trends are changing with time. So time means longitudinal. Prospective study, that is what we can do in the future. So this is of course longitudinal because it is trying to help us understand what measure or what solution can work over a long period of time. Cohort study. Cohort is any group of people who are studied for a long time. So for example, all class 11-12 students. The exact students does not have to be the same, but every year you are starting a cohort of 11-12 students. Cross-sectional is the opposite of longitudinal. Longitudinal means same group or same cohort, multiple times data is taken. Cross-sectional, multiple groups, data is taken only once. Identify the advantages of open-ended questionnaires in a survey. Respondents can answer in their own terms. B, they can be quickly administered by the interviewers. C, they allow unusual responses to be derived. And then you have the options. I'll be periodically checking if the 20 seconds is over. So, identify advantages of open-ended questions. Open-ended questionnaires means the questions are essay type. It asks a question and gives you a bit of space and time to write whatever you want to. So respondents can answer in their own terms. This is true. They can be quickly administered by the interviewers. This is not true, because in open-ended questionnaires, participants often have to think about what they answer and phrase it. It is not simple MCQ type or true or false questions. So it is not administered very quickly. That is for closed-ended. They allow unusual responses to be derived. This is also perfectly true. That is the point of having open-ended questions, so that people can answer the way they wish to. So it is A and C only, option C. Scientific research is A, data-driven; B, replicable; C, verifiable; D, subjective. And you have the options. This is very easy if you just have the basics of what scientific research is about. A very simple hint: scientific research tries to focus a lot on experimentation and also on numbers. It is data driven. It is based on number. We have a hypothesis. We try to figure out statistically if the hypothesis is matching or not. Replicable. Yes, it is the reason we write the methodology in such detail is to ensure that the same study can be replicated by others, It can be conducted by others, and then we can see if their results are also matching with our results. Verifiable, yes, this is the base of scientific research. Whatever we cannot verify, we call it pseudoscientific. So it is verifiable, of course, not subjective, because subjective means data changes from person to person, from researcher to researcher. That does not make it very verifiable or replicable. This is not what scientific research is about. So A, B and C only. Statement 1. Content analysis is an approach to the analysis of documents and texts that seeks to analyze them in qualitative terms. Statement 2. Content analysis is a very transparent research method. Please try to answer. All of them questions are important. All of them are previous year's questions. So content analysis is an approach to the analysis of documents and texts that seek to analyze them in qualitative term. This is correct. Content analysis actually can be both qualitative and quantitative. So in the question if they stated that analyze them only in qualitative terms, then the statement would have been false. But qualitative is an important part of it. Content analysis is one of the most important qualitative methods of research. Hence statement 1 is true. Statement 2. Content analysis is a very transparent research method. This is also true because for content analysis, a researcher needs to codify what they do. For example, if a researcher wants to document that within a particular story, how many racist terms has been used. So they have to define what constitutes a racist term, how many times the terms have been seen in the document, and that can be verified by somebody else. So it is very transparent. So content analysis is a transparent method, which makes both statement 1 and statement 2 are true. That is option A. Which aspect of the researcher may cause psychosocial effect on the participant of the study? So a hint is psychosocial means it involves other people, the effect other people can have on somebody. So what would be the answer? The correct answer out here is option D, attitude. The attitude of the researcher can influence the participant. It can make the participant feel welcome or feel anxious. It can make it look like as if a particular response is required. Technically, if you are getting very deep, yes, age, race, sex, they can also affect the participant a bit, can have a bit of psychosocial effect, but nothing as close to attitude. Attitude is the strongest one. It will always have an effect. Which of the following is not a characteristic of the closed-ended questions in a survey? A. They allow unusual responses. B. They are easy for interviewers and respondents to complete. C. They reduce the possibility of variability in answers. D. There is a lot of spontaneity in responding. Again, very easy. We were just discussing something very similar a while back. Which of the is not a characteristic of closed-ended questions? That is, they allow unusual responses. Closed-ended questions do not allow unusual responses. That is allowed by open-ended questions. Closed-ended questions are like true-false questions, or rate from 1 to 5, or from strongly agree to strongly disagree. So out there, the participant cannot answer any way that they wish to. They are easy for interviewers and respondents to complete, yes, because you don't have to think about the answer a lot. Fourth choice, you just choose one of the options. Reduce the possibility of variability in answers, because everybody is answering in the same way. Loss of spontaneity, because maybe from strongly agree to strongly disagree. Maybe you agree a bit and do not agree a bit. You cannot put these nuances into the question. You have to just pick one of the options. So, loss of spontaneity in responding. The question of generalizability of a study relates to A. Measurement validity, B. Internal validity, C. External validity, D. Ecological validity. This is an interesting one. if you are having a doubt between two very close options, just try to remember what each of the terms mean. The correct answer out here is external validity. Measurement validity, external validity is about whether or not it generalizes. Measurement validity is if the measurement is proper. Internal validity is if the experiment is proper. Can we find out cause-effect relationships? That is internal validity. External is if it can be generalizable. Ecological validity is a part of external validity, but ecological validity is about whether or not the situation is the same as the real world. So an example, a study on, let's say, MRI scans of the brain, right? Now in that particular study, maybe a particular area of the brain is stimulated so that a person has a kind of feeling. Now that does not have ecological validity. That is not how we get feelings in the real world. Nobody is just playing with our brain, right? Not playing around with it. But it does have external validity, that whatever results we can find from one person's brain can be applied to other people's brain, and hence it is generalizable. Ecological validity usually makes it generalizable because it is based on real life situations, but external validity is generalizability as a whole, while ecological is just about real world situations. Survey research is one of the key methods in physics, history, sociology, hermeneutics. Come on, this is too easy. 10 seconds for this one. This is too easy. Come on. Yeah, correct answer, sociology. Of course, sociology, because this is behavioral sciences. Survey method is used in behavioral sciences. Physics is experimentation, history. Who will you take the survey from? The people are not here anymore. Hermeneutics is a research method that tries to study religious texts and find the interpretations of those texts based on the time and context in which the religious texts were written. So this is not a survey kind of method, so it is sociology. If research is done to find out behaviors and attitudes by analyzing existing records and materials, it is known as A. Past research, B. Non-observational research, C. Non-participant research, D. Archival research. This is also very easy if you just think about it a bit. The correct answer is archival research. There is nothing called past research. This is not a technical term. Non-observational, it can easily be experiment, but in experiment you are getting data yourself. It is not about existing records. Existing means the data has already been collected. You are for some other purpose. You are using it in your research. Example, if you have to study how many or what was the impact of a particular hurricane on a particular population. Now you are not collecting data about the hurricane yourself. Maybe it is a hurricane that happened 5 years back and now you are trying to measure the progress right now. So in that case, since you are focusing on other data from 5 years back which you have not collected yourself, it is archival. Non-participant research. So it can simply be non-participant observation, where a person is just observing the data without being a part of the group. That is also primary data that they are collecting. Data from other sources, existing records, is archival research, which uses secondary data. Statement 1. Survey research has the advantage of sampling a large number of respondents who are selected for research. Statement 2. Researchers to administer their own surveys do not have many options except to do it themselves. Okay, very easy question. Basics of survey research. See, many of the questions are very easy actually. Answer is statement 1. Survey has the advantage of sampling large number of respondents who are selected for research. This is true. This is why surveys exist. So imagine surveys during voting. Imagine surveys about the population, that how many males, how many females, what is the income of people. You can gather so much of data at such a very short amount of time. Just closed-ended questionnaires. Statement 2. Researchers to administer their own surveys do not have many options except to do it themselves? Of course not. Survey data is closed-ended questionnaires usually, which is something that can be administered by anybody. You do not require very specialized training for it. So researchers will routinely use students and interns and new psychologists or new researchers, other researchers to take their data. They don't always have to do it themselves. This one you will get 30 seconds. Match the list. Case study, observational research, longitudinal research, experimental research. Variables are actively manipulated. Study behavior in its natural setting without intervention. In-depth study of a single or few individuals. A group is observed and measured over some time. 10 seconds more for this one. So let's look at the options. Case study. Case study is about one group or one individual. So in-depth study of single or few individuals. A is 3. Oh, we have only one option with A3. So this is anyway correct. Let's still look at observational research. Study behavior in natural settings without intervention. This is observational. If we are using intervention, then it's experimental research, manipulation, laboratory studies. Longitudinal research measured over some time. So C is 4, C4 correct. Experimental, variables are actively manipulated. IV and DV is manipulated, hence experimental. D1. A3, B2, C4, D1. If the focus of a research is to improve a school in which students are participants and research supervisors are teachers, then it is an basic research, traditional research, supervisory research, action research. Which one will it be? Kind of the definition of one of these. So the correct answer out here is action research. Action research is a kind of short form research which is done by the people who will directly benefit from it. So applied research is about some application that can be done maybe at a later time. You can study new teaching methods today to apply at a later time. You can study medicines today to give it to somebody else. The patients will get the medicine. The researchers are not getting the medicine. But in action research, the ones who are benefiting are the ones who are conducting the study. The participants are the same one who will be there in the actual situation. So in which students are participants, research supervisors are the teachers themselves, is action research. Action research is for immediate application. Hence, the same people are the researchers and participants who will be part of the actual situation. Which of the following are features of the case study method? It is appreciative, it is particularistic, it is descriptive, it is inductive, it is mechanical. Again, very easy if you understand case study. Which is appreciative. What does appreciative mean? Appreciative means that you really like a study. You find out whatever you are studying, whatever person or group, you find out what is good about them, what is great about them. But why does case study have to be appreciative? It is not appreciative. It will find things to appreciate, it will find things to criticize, it will find all aspects of things. So appreciative, no. Particularistic, yes, it is about an individual or a group or specific group. It is descriptive, yes, case study has a lot of qualitative techniques. It does not use experimentation, it just focuses on describing what exactly can be seen. It is inductive. Inductive means that you are starting from observation, then making a theory. Deductive is you have a hypothesis, from there you try to figure out how to collect data. In inductive, you first have the data and the observation, then you figure out the theory. So it is inductive. It is mechanical. Of course, case study is the opposite of mechanical. Case study is in-depth research, in-depth study. So it is B, C, D only. Yes, B, C, D only, option B. This will again 30 seconds. Match the list. Applied research, basic research, quantitative research, qualitative research, exploration and description of concepts, to focus on objective assessment, contribution of knowledge, to find practical solutions to everyday issues. So which one will it be? Again, very easy. The options I'm seeing are, making it very easy to choose. So applied and basic, we know applied is for application. So applied is to find practical solutions to everyday issues. That is, A is 4. There is only one option with A4, so this is automatically be the answer, but we will still verify. Basic research is contribution to knowledge, so B3, yes, B3. Quantitative and qualitative. Quantitative is objective assessment based on numbers. Qualitative is explanation, description of concepts like case studies. So C2D1, correct. Which of the following are advantages of content analysis? It is A transparent method, B non-reactive method, C flexible method, D method that does not require a coding manual, E method that is free of any kind of framework. So what will this be? Let's look at each of them. It is a transparent research method. This we have already established that it is a transparent method because you have full descriptions and codes of how the content was analyzed. Non-reactive. Reactive method means the participants are changing their behavior is affected based on the research. Example, in experiments, IV manipulation, participants, so example, if you give a participant a bit of caffeine or some injection, it actually affects them, it changes their behavior. Similarly, in observation methods, the participant can actually just be very conscious of the researcher looking at their behavior and hence change their behavior. But content analysis, this is done for analyzing books, journals, diaries, etc. Out there, whatever is written in the books and diaries, they cannot change. So it is non-reactive. It is a flexible method. Yes, it can use quantitative and qualitative techniques. Method that does not require a coding manual. Come on, this is too easy. Content analysis does require a coding manual. That is how it becomes transparent. So option D is not there. So see, they have made it so easy. So method that is free from any kind of framework. Yes, it is. It can. No, this is also not the case. It is not free from any kind of framework. It has a coding manual. It has a framework. So it is only A and C. A, C, B. Non-reactive method. It is non-reactive. That is, it does not. Okay, so why did I put a crossover there? That is, content analysis is non-reactive because, as we just described, the writing in the diary or text or journal, that is not changed. Now from here, just by the option D, that it's a method that does not require a coding manual. We just described that content analysis does require a coding manual. It has a full set of how to analyze. So since all these three options have option D out here, so none of these three can be the answer. It is anyway A, B and C. Please subscribe to the channel for more lessons, soft PYQs, exam updates, regular updates, the news that come out, strategies and tips on how to prepare. While subscribing, please ensure to press the all notification, the bell icon, otherwise you will miss out on important updates and notifications. The research approach of hermeneutics is concerned with textuality, evaluation, discourse and interpretation. This may not be very common to many people since hermeneutics is not a topic that is commonly studied in subjects other than literature or philosophy, a bit of history, a bit of psychology, but mostly literature and philosophy. So the correct answer out here is interpretation. That is, textuality means that it is the quality of any data to be presented in a textual format, which is not what hermeneutics is about. Hermeneutics is about, so you find religious texts You try to understand those texts in a better way based on the context in which it was written. That is hermeneutics. So it is not textuality, it is not evaluation. You are not evaluating if the text is good or bad. You are simply trying to understand the text in a much better way. Discourse is the dialogues and conversations that can be analyzed, which includes a bit of stories and novels and poetry and stuff, but it is not about ancient text. Hermeneutics is about ancient texts, religious texts mostly. So it is interpretation. Statement 1. Content analysis. In content analysis, the researcher will code the text in terms of themes and subjects. Statement 2. The categorization of content is normally done according to the phenomena of interest. So which one will this be? Content analysis, researcher code the text in terms of themes and subjects. This is entirely true. We cannot analyze everything that is there in a text. We have to choose which area we are focusing on. And this choosing, categorization of content, is done according to the phenomena of interest. Example, like we just discussed, that you are analyzing a text for how many racist terms it uses, which means we already have a phenomena of interest which we are trying to find. We are not trying to analyze everything that there is. So both statement 1 and statement 2 are true. Discourse analysis in historical research is associated with Hobson, Kerr, Skinner, Foucault. Now this is something that really does not have a lot of explanation. It is just one of them is considered to be the founder of discourse analysis. Who was it? It was Michel Foucault. Michel Foucault, he is considered to be the founder of discourse analysis. The elements of cross-sectional design are A. Absence of quantitative data, B. Dominance of qualitative data, C. A sample of cases with interrelated variations, D. Data is collected at a single point in time, E. Examinations of relationships between variables. So which one will it be? Again, very simple question. Cross-sectional design means that you have a number of groups and you are studying all of them at the same point of time and just once. That is cross-sectional design, and hence it is very quantitative. It can use experiments. So absence of quantitative data, nope. Dominance of qualitative data, no. It is usually quantitative only. That is, data is collected in numerical objective ways. Anyway, AB is removed, so CD is left, but C is a sample of cases with interrelated variations. Example, I am trying to study the stress levels of 11-12 students of CBSE board, ISC board, NIOS board, West Bengal board, Hyderabad board, all compared together. So a sample of cases with interrelated variations. That is, all of them are 11-12, but different boards. Data is collected at a single point of time, that is cross-sectional, otherwise it will be longitudinal. Examinations of relationships between variables, because we can now compare and find the relation between stress and CBSE, stress and ISC, stress and NIOS, all of it. So C, D and E only. Option C. Which type of research encourages participants' perspective? Ethnography, historical research, exegetic research, experimental research. Which one will it be? Where the participants' own perspective is what we are looking for. We are trying to understand things from the perspective of the person or people being studied. It is ethnography, not historical research. Historical research simply tries to find out what happened at some particular point in time in history. Exegetic research, exegetic is sometimes when research is you find a research topic and try to study it at the situation spontaneously. Experimental research is controlled. It does not encourage participants' perspective. Experimental research tries to reduce subjectivity as much as possible. So ethnography, because we are trying to understand a culture from their own perspective, from their own point of view, without thinking of it in our terms. Creating purpose statements, research questions and hypotheses that are narrow and measurable are features of A. Narrative research, B. Ethnographic research, C. Grounded theory research, D. Experimental research. Come on, this is too easy. This is very easy. Creating purpose statements, which is like what is the goal of the study. The research questions and hypotheses are all features of experimental research. Cause-effect relationships. Not narrative research. Narrative research, you are simply trying to describe the phenomena. Ethnographic research, again less about hypothesis and more about exploration and description. Grounded theory, you don't start with hypothesis. Grounded theory, you gather the data first. From the data, you try to find out a theory. So that is not based on the direct research questions. In grounded theory, you gather the data first, then find out what can is, for example, for phenomena that you don't know very well about. So in grounded theory does not start with research questions. It comes up with certain questions at the end of it. Which method of research involves the manipulation of independent variable? Come on. A. Ex post facto method, B. Experimental method, C. Case study method, D. Historical method. I hope nobody will make a mistake in this question. And this also gives you the idea that not all questions in NET are difficult. Some of the questions are so extremely easy. So don't get scared, don't get anxious. You will get very many easy questions and while preparing for the hard ones also. Yeah. Which method of research involves manipulation of independent variable? This is experimental method, obviously. Case study method is just description. Historical, it happened at some other time. We cannot manipulate the IV. Ex post facto method is the research after something had happened. Example, an earthquake has happened. After that, you are now going and gathering data. So ex post facto, after something has happened, you cannot manipulate independent variable anymore. So it is experimental method. Assertion. In order to bridge the gap between theory and practice, both fundamental and applied research formats have to be promoted. Reasoning. Fundamental research focuses on theory making and applied research is directed at exploring the applicability of theory in varied practical situations. 10 more seconds for this one. Very simple, kind of like definitions. In order to bridge the gap between theory and practice, both fundamental and applied research formats have to be promoted. This is true. And the reason is that fundamental research leads to development of theories. Applied research leads to application in various situations. Fundamental research is on theory making, applied in exploring applicability of theory. These are the definitions. So both A and R are correct, and R is the correct explanation of A. Statement 1. Qualitative research is an umbrella term to refer to various research strategies that share certain characteristics. The data collected have been termed as soft, that is rich in description. Statement 2. Quantitative research is mainly hypothetico-deductive, employing statistical techniques. And you have the options. The correct answer here is both statement 1 and 2 are true. Qualitative is an umbrella term. It includes historical research, archival research, case study, ethnographic, grounded theory, phenomenology, narrative analysis, discourse analysis. We can go on. Data collected has been termed as soft, that is rich in description, that is not numerical. Quantitative is mainly hypothetico-deductive, employing statistical techniques. Hypothetico-deductive means starting with a hypothesis, then collecting data and seeing if the hypothesis matches or not. Hence, this is also true. Both statement 1 and statement 2 are true. A college teacher plans a research program where he or she intends to improve the socio-emotional impact of his or her classroom climate during teaching. This is an example of A. Experimental research, B. Descriptive research, C. Historical research, D. Action research. We have just done a very similar example right now. So I'm hoping everybody will get this answer correct. This is action research. Because the teacher intends to improve the impact on his or her own classroom, they want to immediately apply it, and the ones that who will get the benefits, that is the teacher and the students, they are the participants. The teacher himself is conducting the study for his or her own classroom, himself or herself, and hence this is action research. Statement 1. Qualitative research is an umbrella term to refer to various search strategies that share certain characteristics. To data in qualitative research has been termed as soft, that is rich in description, people, places and events. We just did this one. This should be very easy. Both statement 1 and 2 are true. We just described it is an umbrella term which includes discourse analysis, content analysis, narrative analysis, historical study, archival study, many things. Data in qualitative is termed as soft because they do not have a lot of numbers but descriptions of people, places and events. So both the statements are correct. Which among the following is not related to qualitative research? A. Thematic analysis, B. Case study, C. Discourse analysis, D. Survey method. Is also very easy. We have just covered similar topics in the questions. It is survey method, because qualitative analysis does include thematic analysis. We just discussed in content analysis, you categorize terms and passages based on the themes. Case study, it is not about, case study involves interviews, it involves description, narrative, so of course it has qualitative aspects. Discourse analysis, analyzing the conversations, the dialogues, the media reports, the poetry, the novels of a particular time, and that is qualitative. Survey method, it is quantitative. It tries to find out numerical data most of the time. We can think of survey to extend it to make a bit of qualitative explanations, but typically survey is only for quantitative. For examination, survey is quantitative. Which among the following is not an outcome of grounded theory? A. Concepts, B. Narrative, C. Categories, D. Hypothesis. Grounded theory we just discussed very soon. So which one will it be? The correct answer out here is hypothesis, because hypothesis is something that is done before the data is collected. In grounded theory, the data is collected first, then we find out concepts, narratives, categories, theories, etc. So hypothesis is not over there. Hypothesis is associated with quantitative research. Grounded theory is qualitative research. In grounded theory, first data is gathered without a hypothesis, then a theory is made up. Now you can say that if it can make a theory, why can't it make a hypothesis? Well, it can make a hypothesis, but for another research. It does not have a hypothesis as a direct outcome. As a direct outcome, it is just concepts, theories, themes, etc. Which of these are the characteristic of qualitative research? Creating purpose statements and research questions. 2. Stating the purpose and research questions in a broad way. 3. Collecting data based on words from a small number of individuals. 4. Collecting numerical data and statistical analysis. 5. Using text analysis and interpretation. Which of them are qualitative? 5 more seconds. So, creating purpose statements and research questions, these are mostly hallmarks of quantitative research. So, not this one. Stating the purpose and research questions in a broad way, yes, this is qualitative. That is, you do it in a very broad way. That is, first option should be there, because even qualitative research, it does have statements and focuses on what exactly to study. So 1, 2 should be there. 3. Collecting data based on words. Yes, this is qualitative text analysis from a small number of individuals. For collecting numerical data and statistical analysis, this should not be there. That is not in qualitative, so option 4 taken off. 5. Using text analysis and interpretation. Yes, this is also true. So 1, 2, 3 and 5. You don't have the option of 1, 2, 3 and 5. So in that case, if you have to eliminate one of them, you eliminate one of them. Text analysis is qualitative. Words, qualitative. Questions and research in a broad way, again qualitative. So I have to remove the option 1, which is why I removed that initially because of the options, but this is actually a mistake in the question. Technically, qualitative research does have purpose statements and research questions, because even if you are doing it in a broad way, you are still doing it. But since we cannot choose 4 options, we have to remove at least one. So option 1 has to get removed. 2, 3 and 5. So option A, 2, 3 and 5. Study of why does stressful living result in heart attack can be classified as descriptive, explanatory, correlational and feasibility. This is also very easy. In fact, you don't even have to know about research. You can just read the question, correlate the English terms used and get the answer that way. Correct answer is B, explanatory research. Because why? Why is explanation about the causes of it. If it had stated, does stressful living result in heart attack? It may have been descriptive. How does stressful living result in heart attack? What are the symptoms of it? That can be descriptive. But why does it? Explanatory. Not correlational research. Correlation will mean that you are trying to find out the relationships between two variables. But here you are not trying to find out whether or not stressful living and heart attack is related. It is already assumed that they are related. I am trying to find out why they are related. Hence, it is not correlational. Feasibility research is a special kind of action research which is done, or applied research, where you try out, let's say, a new technique or new product or something and see if it works, if it is feasible to conduct this research at a larger and broader scale. So it is often done as a pilot study, and hence this is also not the option. Why does stressful living result in heart attack? You see why, explanatory research. These are all the questions for today. Please subscribe to the channel for more lessons, PYQs, exam updates and strategies and tips. Remember to press the bell icon so that you get all the notifications that are there. Don't miss out on any of it. Thank you. Next sessions will be 30 PYQs on higher education. And these are the courses offered by Psych Academy. Please share the channel and share with your friends who may be needing any of these courses. Thank you, everybody.